Hello, everybody. Welcome to Divine Goddess channel. And we talk about spiritual. We do readings on here. Anything spiritual. Today's video, I'm going to talk about how I discover my psychic abilities. Okay. So I believe, and don't forget to subscribe to my video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn that notification bell because I'm going to be dropping a video every week. So let's get into it. So it started, really, I believe I had the ability since I was a child, but due to me going through abuse and trauma, it closed. So I wasn't really able to discover my abilities at all as a child because I was going through a lot of abuse and trauma. So I believe to have dreams before it happened. I had vivid dreams, and I believe I really did have nightmares at night all the time when I was a little girl, and I didn't understand what they were. But I did have dreams before it happened. I really didn't, as a kid, you really didn't think nothing about it. I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up thinking like psychics and mediums were not of God and everything like that. So I really didn't tap into it. I didn't even think much of it growing up in a Christian household. So I heard about I heard about psychic. I heard about a little bit about mediums and things like that. But on TV, if you've not heard like Miss Cleo, she's a psychic that was on TV. You push a number and she tell you about your life and things like that. I heard about that, but I really didn't really think much of it. So fast forward, I was in a church. I was a Christian. It was, I have discovered like spiritual experiences when I was in a church, but like I said, I thought was, you indoctrinate Christianity inside of you. You kind of think that's what that is. So, fast forward, I was interested in spirituality as I was getting older. But, I was scared and I was like, oh, I don't know, I should do this and things like that. And I still was like, I don't know. I didn't know myself. Like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And I was starting to get frustrated. Like, I was starting to, like, questioning things and, like, what am I really here for? Like, what is really my purpose? I know my purpose is not to just work and come home and that's it. I know my purpose wasn't just to be a mom or be a wife, and because that's what indoctrinated you in a Christian household. Be a wife, be a mom, and that's it, because that's what I've been taught, right? I thought that's all, because I desired marriage. That's all I wanted. And, going in church, it wasn't that helpful because I thought that's all I was supposed to do, right? As a kid, as a young adult. So when I first discovered tarot cards and everything, is when I was living with my dad. Okay, he's a Christian, of course, and I've had my first deck of tarot cards, and I was scared at first. I ain't gonna lie to you, because the doctrine in your mind, but I was starting to play with the tarot cards, and I still got my first deck right now, and this is my first deck that I had and that I bought, and I really really love this deck. I really connected with the deck, so I was surprised I still had it, because I I found it, um it was at my dad's house. I hid it in these cards because my dad found out I was using tarot cards, and he said, I don't want this in my house, you writing devil in my house and things like that. So I hid my cards. So I read about spirituality, I read about rituals and spells and things like that. And of course, I was a little, I don't know if I want to do this or not, because, as a kid, again, as a kid, you've been taught that things were bad, But I was more open-minded to it. So, after my dad discovered that I had the cards, of course I was sneaking around, like making sure he don't see them. I hid them in my room and things like that. And this is when this is when I was pregnant and things like that. I was really going through a hard time. I was going through a dark time in my life. I lost everything. I lost my car. I didn't have no money in the bank account. I lost my apartment then. So that's when I had to move in with my dad. So I felt really depressed. I felt I was in the dark. I felt like, what's going on with me? I know this is not what my life is. I know this is not the end of my life, and this is all there is to this life. So I read about spirituality. I read books. I also was listening to podcasts and things like that, and discover spirituality and things like that. And I had my son, everything like that, and I still was reading. I also journaled. I heard about scripting, where you write down what you want, and I use almost every method, and I did all of that, and I had my first altar, and I did my first ritual, my first spell. It was me. I wanted to move out of my dad's house, so I like, man, I just want my own apartment. I didn't care what it looked like for real. I didn't go in detail what it looked like. And I'm going to talk about more of that, in another video about me manifesting and things like that, because it did come true. I did get my apartment. I was so happy about that. And all I did was like write on a piece of paper and put the candle on top, and then, that I want an apartment, and as long as it's clean, safe, and bug free. That's all I wanted. I didn't get in detail of I want the kitchen and all that stuff, but I really just wanted to move out. Like, I didn't want to be there, so I wanted to move out. And yeah, I still living in the apartment now that I manifest, right? So I had my son. After I had my son, I was still trying to figure out about myself. I still trying to want to know what my identity is, or what my purpose on earth is. I know I wanted to help people. That's all I know. I wanted to help people, and that's it. So I still trying to figure out who I was. So I started to I went on TikTok, and I started to feel like, trying to find something. Like, I don't know what it was, but I was just looking, browsing, and I wasn't really thinking anything of it. And I ran across a medium who, she is well known, okay? And she did mediumship. I was watching her. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how she did readings and things like that, and she did mediumship. And I'm like, this is very interesting. So I kept watching her videos, and I'm like, this is really good, like really really good. At the time, I did went back to Christianity, and then because again I was trying to find myself, so I went back to Christianity. Yeah, reading the Bible and things like that, and it just didn't feel right. Right, I don't know why. It just didn't feel like I belong. Because I didn't feel like I belonged there. Like I didn't feel like I belong. So I'm like, I stopped going to church. I stopped, and I discovered things on my own. So that's when I ran into her videos and things like that, and I realized she had a class, and I'm like, you know what? I was kind of hesitating. I'm like, a class of mediumship, right? It's really to open what you already have, like the gifts that you already have, right? Because I believe everybody is psychic. It's just some people are tapped in, and some people are not. Some people are more tapped in than others. You know what I'm saying? But I believe everybody is psychic, so I think everybody has that gift. So she had a class, it was the mediumship class, and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of was scared because I'm like, here we go again, the indoctrination of Christianity in my mind again, and trying to get away from being scared and having fear and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna do it, and then I did, and I'm glad I did, because not only I learned about mediumship and being a psychic, but I also learned more about my spiritual journey. And like now things are making more sense. Things start to click. Things that started to click. Questions was being answered. I had a whole lot of questions about myself, who I am as a human, as someone who's spiritual. Like things is starting to click, and I am very glad that I found the community that I found, and that she was a mentor, so she was also a mentor, and she's a very good mentor, and I learned a lot in the class. So I felt like I belonged. I felt like I was finding that questions that I had, right? So everything started to open up, and then I have started to see things. I started to see I always been dreaming about my grandma, but I didn't understand what it was about. And then once I knew about the class, I had dreams about her. She was talking to me in the dreams, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's what this is. And then my aunt came through as well. So I started to hear spirits, I started to see spirits, and in class they tell you boundaries. So that way you don't be, having spirit talking to you at 3 a.m. and stuff like that. It set boundaries and stuff, and that's what I did. And the class teach you everything about that, and I was happy about it. I'm excited that I discovered it, and things started to open, and my psyche started to get stronger. I started to sense things, and like now I'm still sensing stuff, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger as the months go, as years go. It's starting to get even more stronger. But I've been with tarot cards for a long time. I read tarot for myself before I read on other people, and everything I be saying did come. It came true. It came true. So things I said, it already happened, and things like that. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe I've been had this, and I wish I knew about it when I was younger. But of course, I was taught not to dibble and dabble in things, right? So now I started to see. I could hear, I could see, I can sense, I could smell a little, I could feel, and when I look at people, I can like tell like what's going on with them. Um, everything just started to develop even more. Um, and yeah, that's how I discover my psychic, right? My abilities. You know, like I said, I believe I had it since I was a child. I was closed off, from the trauma and the abuse, and that the being experiment on with. That's another story. I'm gonna make another video about that because that is a long story itself. So I was supposed to make a video about my childhood, but I have not. So I definitely need to talk about that. It would make more sense. But yes, I wanna. That's how I discover my psychic abilities. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on that notification bell when every video drop.